Hey guys, what's up? This is Krazak here, and welcome back once again. This one is not necessarily so much the philosophy one that I've been working on for you guys, but it is something that I figured is a talk that is definitely important, and one of the things about why I feel I do I get what I do, and just this is the stuff that we can learn from things like getting over it, from things like other games that have seen recent popularity, such as, say, Undertale or Celeste, other games like that, where they aren't necessarily about trying to be like huge AAA games or whatever, but rather just about teaching a lesson. Maybe it's some mundane task, maybe it's some very difficult game, but either way, a lot of these games, such as Getting Over It, such as Celeste, they have an element of just unyielding mechanics, whether it's difficulty, like, say, Getting Over It, where your controls aren't necessarily consistent, or Celeste, where it's up to, like, some really difficult platforming, or, say, Undertale, where it's just consistently your choices have a huge impact. And I think it would be unfair to talk about these things and not talk about the lessons that we really learn from them, as there are actual lessons that we can learn. And I mean, sure, stuff that we maybe already know, but that's not necessarily what it's about. It's about actually learning these in a practical way, putting them into practice, and being able to enjoy it in the meantime. Oops. As far as stuff like Getting Over It, which I've definitely really enjoyed as of late, I mean, the concept of the game is fairly simple. You have to climb up a mountain with a hammer. You'd think, what kind of lesson could we learn from that if it's just you have to climb up a mountain with a hammer? But you'd be surprised. Because of unyielding difficulty, because it's a game that does treat you very much so like an adult, you get a lot of lessons that can be learned. And I mean, I've already expressed this, but still, at the same time, you get things like determination, things like learning, and even though it might be repetitive, just the understanding that these things are built to be more concrete, unlike what a lot of other games might be. It's something that's meant to teach you, because of that, determination, the ability to get up the mountain, not just by doing a long enough grind, but because you have that determination to succeed, that drive, being the will. And while no, it's probably not a perfect analogy, it probably falls apart pretty easily. It's still one of those things where you can definitely see how it would have that impact. And you in that you learn the uncompromising nature of, I guess you could say, life. Where life is going to be a lot like climbing this mountain. You're not going to get that compromise. You're not going to get the easy way where just if you spend enough time. No, life doesn't work like that. Instead, you get where you have to learn where it is possible to reach the top, but it's not going to be an easy task. If it was an easy task, would it even be worth doing it? And I think that's another one of the really important factors in figuring out this game, in why it got to be so successful. It wasn't just the rage factor, though many people did rage. It's the fact that this game was a critique on culture. Something that acknowledged, yes, we have very much so a culture of garbage. And now that we know that, what are we going to do with it? Figuring out that, hey, the things that we may have thought we knew may not necessarily been true. And it's crazy to see just how much the creator of the game nails this on the head. Just the frustrations in climbing, how even with just all the skill and all the bad mechanics, it's still possible to climb. It's still possible to do so very quickly, in fact. And also how quickly you can fall back down to the beginning again. Which is frustrating, to be sure. But also has a truth to it. The beginning says it's harder to start over than it is to start up in the first place. In falling and losing your progress, you get frustration. It's kind of like accruing just bumps and scratches and bruises and things like that. And it just all adds up. I mean, sure, you can still make forward progress, but at the same time, each time you fall back down, and then you get things along the lines of, like, say, Undertale, where you get choice, where what you do does in fact affect the outcome. And sure, we already knew that about life, but at the same time, just showing us that just because things are different, we don't have to be compromising in our belief. The people we don't know, the things we don't necessarily understand, aren't necessarily evil. And it's been interesting to see how Undertale teaches things like determination, how it teaches things like compassion. Sure, it's probably not an easy road, and not everyone's cup of tea, but at the same time, just games like this, games that decide to intentionally go out of the box, are very successful for a reason. Now, it's not something where I expect you to necessarily agree with me or whatever, but it has definitely been interesting to see, to come to terms with the climb that comes with getting over it, the determination that comes with Undertale, or as I found recently with Celeste even, dealing with fear and anxiety in order to figure out that you can, in fact, do this. You can climb the mountain. you can overcome the things that have gotten in your way. And I think it's important to see that just in all of this, the lessons that can be learned, the things that really, I guess you could say, revive our faith in humanity. And no, it's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect. But it's about the journey. It's about making it more about the climb than necessarily about just beating it, about getting through it. Well, yeah, there are people that have, with practice, been able to get very good at games like these, who've been able to break them in ways that they weren't intended. That's not how the game was necessarily meant to be played. It's about the journey. It's about overcoming. It's about reaching the top. It's about the triumph. And yet at the same time, also about the loneliness that comes with being at the top. That, yes, you can do it. You can make it to the top with enough hard work, with enough determination, with not being deterred by all these things that have gotten in the way. It is possible to do things like, I'm not even talking about games, I'm talking about real life here, just practicality. It is possible to build wealth. It is possible to move up the ladder as far as things like work goes. It is possible to pursue further schooling. And no, it's not going to be easy. It is possible, and it's that journey that's very much so worth it. But in that journey, don't lose sight of what's truly important. Don't lose sight of that for the sake of, oh, I have to get further. I have to better myself. Why? Just for the sake of bettering yourself? No. But because it's the journey. Because it is life. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be worth it either, I think, unless you make that journey. I guess it's a part of where I am, where I've been, but just how I've been making the journey as well. And I think things like getting over it have really embodied that. Where, no, it hasn't been easy. And no, I haven't reached the top yet. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Because it is part of the adventure. It is part of the journey. And sure, I'll celebrate the triumphs. But also just remembering, once you're at the top, it's lonely up there. It's quiet up there. And it's interesting to see. There is that element of triumph, but there's also that element of loneliness. And in reaching the top, getting there without compromise, getting there just because you spent enough time grinding for it or whatever, it may not necessarily be worth it then. I mean, sure, there's a short tasted triumph, but then what? What's the true value in it? What's the true worth? And maybe that's what this game seeks to do. To critique the way that we handle things. To critique the way that our mind works. To get inside our heads, as so many of these popular games that are showing up now tend to do. No matter what it is, what genre it is, where it comes from, if it's free or if it costs money. Just a lot of these things that we hear about that actually start getting attention are these games that will decide to break free of the standard mold, that decide to critique the way that humanity is, the way that it really tends to human nature. Whether it is the unyielding climb, or whether it is the value of life and the value of determination, and the importance of choice. Through it all, it is a journey, and through it all, it's important to know. And perhaps I'm rambling on at this point, but just I think it is important to really know and to understand that. Perhaps I am being critical, perhaps I am being over analytical, but you know what? I'm okay with that. That's the kind of stuff that you guys have really enjoyed. And I'm glad for that. Because in all of this, in all of doing what I do, I don't want to become that person that just tries to please the masses. Because then what do I really care for the people that stop by on a regular basis? No. I don't want to lose that sense of me. Yes, it is a journey. And I'm very glad you guys are making it with me. But still, if I start doing this just for the sake of doing it, just for the sake of the views and the subscribers and everything like that, then what have I really gained? And I mean, yeah, it is a goal. It's just at the same time, if I've lost the pleasure, if I've lost everything that's been important in making this journey, then is the journey really worth it? Or is it another case of one of those things of being lonely at the top? Too often you've seen these big names on things like YouTube, things like Twitch, where something happens in their life and they realize they'd lost sight of the journey. They'd lost sight of everything that is important in being a content creator, in being someone who engages with people. And I mean, it's interesting to see. All the small channels want to be like all the big channels. And then you get all the big channels, where I think if you look really deep, all the big channels want to be like the small channels, where they're not restricted by what people think, or they're not restricted by, oh, I have to do this, or I have to continue this. Or rather a case of they can do what they want, and not necessarily feel judged. It's, and I mean, it's probably crazy, but I don't think it's as far from the truth as it might sound. Be as it may. Be as it may. Just maybe I am crazy. Maybe you guys can tell me that. And you know, that's okay. The reason why I'm doing this isn't necessarily to please you. I mean, yeah, sure, I enjoy making the videos and I enjoy making content that you guys enjoy. But at the same time, I don't want to just leave it down to I'm caged now because I have to do this. Because I have to give you what you want. Because I have to do it the way you guys say. No, a lot of the way that it's working right now is I'm putting out content that you guys enjoy and that I enjoy creating. When those things cease to line up, there's probably a bigger problem at hand than just me creating content or whatever. There would be a bigger issue at hand, because then it's like, what's the purpose of my channel? If I've ceased to do what I want to do, then is it really creative expression? And I guess that is a good thought to leave you guys on. Just thinking about it. Thinking about things like the nature of creativity, the nature of the climb, the nature of getting up the mountain and making the journey. I really hope you guys enjoy, and I really hope that it brings about a sense of thought, a sense of being able to really think about these things, to be able to think about how we make a difference, if we really want to make a difference, or if we want to succumb to the everyday average. As for me, that is not at all my goal, and I hope I don't become that. It's just one of the things that I've had to be careful of. For example, I guess I could say Terraria. I enjoy making Terraria, and interestingly enough, right now it lines up with what I want to do and what you guys want to see. I'm very glad for that. But just, if I start feeling caged making Terraria, then I may just stop doing it. Because it's not about necessarily pleasing you guys, although I'm very glad that I can. But it's about being able to make the journey. It's about being able to do what I want to do without having to be limited, without having to really, I guess that is be caged. Because you guys are watching me. It's obvious. We've grown so much as far as views go, as far as subs go even. But we still have so much further to go. We still have this way up the mountain. And no, it's not going to be easy. It's never going to be easy. But at the same time, I'd still say it's very much worth it. And I want to thank you guys. Every single time I want to thank you guys. Because all of this would be impossible if not for you. You guys have definitely made it all possible. You guys have made it so that the entire journey has been worth it. I don't know. I guess it is something crazy to think about. And I hope I'm not crazy for thinking it. But either way, I've really enjoyed this. And I hope you guys too. Now, well, it's not necessarily the same as all my philosophy talks or podcasts or whatever. I hope this has been helpful. That someone somewhere will stumble across this and realize, hey, I needed to hear this. This is something important. And this isn't just something that's necessarily just trash culture or stuff that just gets thrown in just to be filler. But now, it's my sincere hope that this means a lot to you guys, like it does to me. And sure, maybe it's not going to bring in the views, maybe it's not going to bring in the subs, but it's not about that. And I hope you guys don't forget that. But either way, guys, this has been Krazak, signing out. I'll see ya. By the way, just a side note, if you guys are still watching, this is a personal best, so I'm gonna keep going and cut recording when I feel like it. So from here on out, just enjoy. Oops. Ooh, okay.
No.
That's fine.
No.
Okay. Oops. Oh. Maybe. Oops. Okay. Nope. Oops. There we go.
Oh. What?
Hmm.
What? 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 What?
Oops. But
What? What?
okay. Come on. Right there.
What?
Nope, that's gonna send me down.
What?
No.
What? What? Oh. What? No. What?
Come on.
Oh, no.
I'm so close.
What? Oh. Oh.
That's fine. Okay. Relax. Is that relaxing? Okay.
What?
Can I do this? Nope.
Oh.
Sad.
What?
That was kind of weak, but okay. Oh, careful. Nope. Careful. Oh. Okay. That's not it. Okay. Okay. Oh, I think that was closer though. Oops. That's not the right angle, is it? Okay. Huh. Maybe. Nope. Nope. No. That's frustrating. Oh, that is just not panicked. That could have been it.
No.
Oops. I think I have the right idea now. Nope. Oh, careful. Oops. Come on. Oh. Okay. You know what? All right. I'm gonna call it. Let's you have. Oh, wait. Here, let's make sure I'm on. Yeah, there we go. All right. If it didn't work before, I'm gonna call it here. Thank you guys for sticking around. If you have stuck around this long, I mean, to be honest, it helps. I don't think it helps as much as necessarily sticking around for the main part of the video does, but yeah, no, that's okay. I am fine with that. But I'm in a spot where I am stuck for a while, so I'll have to see. Either way, I'm gonna keep trying to, well, get over it, and we'll see what happens. But either way, guys, if not already, then this really is it for me for now. So, this has been Krazak, signing out. I'll see ya.